Hello everyone and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. I just wanted to do a quick share to finish up Daf Nun Hey Amid Beis. We went over time in part 1 of Nun Hey Amid Beis. We went into a lengthy conversation regarding the shaila of when an Eina Yehudi who is a kablan does malacha on behalf of Yisrael, is the Yisrael allowed to have hana from that malacha or not on Shabbos? We saw that the Ramah says over here in Sif Aleph that when it comes to an Eina Yehudi Kablan lighting a nair, lighting a lamp, lighting a fire for a Yehudi on Shabbos, that Yisrael and any other Yisrael, no Yisrael, is allowed to get Hana from that nair. That nair is going to be Aser, despite the fact that the Eina Yehudi who lit it for the Yisrael was acting as a kablan. We went into the reasoning for this at length in the previous share. We explained the Shita Saramah, the Shita of the Mechaber. Now, when the Ramah introduced this halacha, the language of the Ramah, I'm just going to read the Ramah here. The Ramah said, Haga, ve'ein chilik bazeh ben kotzav lo ischar oy loy kotzav. When it comes to this halacha, that if an Eina Yehudi lights a nair for Yisrael, that nair is aser bahana for all Yisraelim, it makes no difference whether the Yisrael set a price for the job, that's kotzav lo ischar, or loy kotzav, or he did not set a rate for the job. And what? And instead, the Yehudi is being paid for his time. And the Ramah goes further. Oisha asoy bekablonis. The Ramah explains, what I mean by this is, it makes no difference whether the Eina Yehudi was acting like a kablan, or beschirus, or he was acting as a regular salaried employee who's paid for his time. Either way, if an Eina Yehudi lights a nair on behalf of a Yisrael, that nair is going to be aser bahana on Shabbos, both to the Yehudi that he did it for, or to any other Yisraelim. And the Ramah explains, Tahayil v'ha-Yisrael nena mi-malacha atzma b'Shabbos, this the Shita Saramah that we went into great detail, since in the case of a nair, the Yisrael that wants to get hana from that nair would be getting hana from the very meleches iser that the Eina Yehudi did. He created a nair on Shabbos, be'isr, and now you're getting direct hana from that nair, aser b'chol inyan, that is aser, even if the malacha was performed by an Eina Yehudi, that's a kablan. And he brings this down from the Hagas Hashri. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut and dalid. The Ramah said, Bein kotzav, hainu me erev Shabbos. What the Ramah means is, even if the Yisrael set a price for the job on erev Shabbos, v'kamash balon, and what the Ramah is teaching me over here is, D'lo yamrinan be'inyaneinu Eina Yehudi adaited denavshei ovid. Over here, we don't say that, wait a second, if he's a kablan, then why are we saying that he did it on behalf of the Yisrael? By a kablan, we usually say, he's doing the malacha for his own purposes. He's doing it, this is his own work. And he's doing it in order to complete the job and get paid sooner. So why are we saying over here that it's considered that he did it on behalf of the Yisrael and therefore the nair is aser bahana? Why don't we say, so kamash balan deloy amrinan? We don't say, be'inyoneinu, in this case, Eina Yehudi adaited an avshei ovid kidei lekabel schare hanikzav loy ukidei le'el b'sivin reishnon beis if beis l'ini kablanus. We don't give the heter of kablanus over here. Ois cut and hay, and then so the Ramah used two different types of explanations to explain kablanus. He said it doesn't make a difference bein kotzav loy schar, whether you set a rate for the job oy loy kotzav, oy sha'asoi b'kablanus, or he did it b'kablanus, oy b'schiris, or he did it acting as a salaried employee. Says the Mishnah Berurah, this means the same thing. Ois cut and hay, oy sha'asoi, who pirish. Over here the Ramah is explaining what he said previously. Who pirish lamasha amar betchila bein kotzav al ze amar bein kitzva hoisa bekablanus oy beschirus. What the Ramah is saying is, it doesn't matter if this is a kablanus scenario or a schirus scenario. The kablanus mikri, what do we call kablanus? Heichesh escharoi stam lahadlik leiner be'esha yitztarich. Kablanus in this scenario, how do you hire a kablan to light nairs for you? You hire a lamplighter and you tell him the kotzav loy, and you set a rate. Mikol hadlaka davar kotzav. Every time you light a lamp, every time you light an air, you'll get paid 10 cents per nair. Uschiris mikri, what's schiris? What's a regular salaried employee? A salaried lamplighter would be somebody who you hire, and you tell him for every day that you act as my lamplighter, you'll get $15. That's a schiris lamplighter. A kabbalah lamplighter is, I'm going to hire you to always light my lamps. Whenever you light a lamp for me, you get paid 10 cents. Okay, now we go to the Mechaber. The Mechaber says weiter. All right, so if an Eini Yehudi lights a ner on behalf of a Yisrael, that ner is aser b'hana, both to the Yisrael that he lit it for and to anybody else. Aval, however, continues the Mechaber, 4 lines down in Siman Reish Ayin Vav. Aval, imid likar l'tzarchai. Let's say an Eini Yehudi lit a ner, but he didn't light it on behalf of a Yid. He lit a ner for himself. An Eini Yehudi is in his own house, and he lit a ner for himself. If an Eini Yehudi lights a ner for himself, Yisrael. Or even, let's say an Eini Yehudi lit a ner for a Yisrael, but it's a Yisrael who's ill. You have an ill individual, and he needs a ner. So the Eini Yehudi came, and he lit a ner for an ill Yisrael. Then, afilu ein by sakana, even if it's a chaylish ein by sakana. Then, Haggah first interjects the Ramon. He says, oil etzarich ktanim. Or you have a case where an Eini Yehudi lit a ner on behalf of a katan, on behalf of a minor child. You have a minor child sleeping in a room. He has to get up in the middle of the night, use the Beis HaKisei, or he's scared of the dark, or whatever it is. So an Eini Yehudi came and he lit a ner on behalf of a Yisrael who's a katan. Now, says the Rama, a katan, du kechaylish ein by sakana. Generally, we look at a katan as being the equal of a chaylish ein by sakana. So says the Mechaber, if a Eini Yehudi lit a ner on behalf of a Yisrael, but it's a Yisrael who's a chayle, even if it's a chaylish ein by sakana, or says the Rama, if the Eini Yehudi lit a ner on behalf of a Yisrael who's a katan, a minor child, then mutter l'chal Yisrael l'ishtamish la'oray, then it is mutter for any Yid to go benefit from that light. Explains the Mishnah Berurah's Katan Vav, Ketanim, Hainuim tzrichim harbe, avabalav hachiloi. The Mishnah Berurah qualifies the ruling of the Ramah a little bit. The Ramah says that if an Eini Yehudi lights a ner for a katan, the katan is the equivalent of a chayla she'ein by sakana. And therefore that ner is going to be mutter. Bahana. Says the Mishnah Berurah, that's only true if the katan has a strong need for the ner. If it's just that the katan says, hey, I'd like a little light in my room. That's not a big tzarech. We're talking about a big tzarech. We have a little kid who there's no way he's going to sleep. He's terrified of the dark. He's going to be up all night. That's a big tzarech. In that case, says the Mishnah Berurah, yes. Then if an Eini Yehudi lights a ner on behalf of that katan, you're allowed to get hana from that ner. Ois katan zayin, and in these cases, the ner is mutter l'chol Yisrael. And the Mishnah Berurah explains why it's mutter. Because let's remember, what's the whole background of this Isser D'Rabbanan? Why is it that when an Eini Yehudi lights a ner on behalf of Yisrael on Shabbos, you're not allowed to benefit from that ner? The reason we said is because this is Amira La'akum, and Amira La'akum is Aser. Now, if we're going to say that B'di Evet, if we're going to say that post facto, if an Eini Yehudi lights a ner for a Yid, you're allowed to use that ner, well then a lot of Yisraelim might turn around and ask Goyim to light ners for them. Because why not? It's mutter b'hana. So the Chachamim came, they said, you're not allowed to do it. It's Amir la'akum. And if you do it, the ner is aser b'hana. But now, if we're talking about an Eini Yehudi lighting a ner for a Yisrael that's a chayla she'ein by sakana, or for a katan that's the equivalent of a chayla she'ein by sakana, says the Mishnah Berurah's Katan Zayin, in this case, the leishayach kan gzera shema yomer lo lahadlik b'shvil chayla. What gzera are we making? We're going to say that if an Eini Yehudi lights a ner for a chayla she'ein by sakana, the ner is aser b'hana for everybody else. Maybe it's mutter for the chayla, but aser for everybody else. Why? A gzera, because if it's mutter, you might ask the guy to do it. You're allowed to ask the guy to do it. Lechatchila, you're allowed to ask a guy to light an air for a chayla she'ein by sakana. So there's no room here for a gzera. Sharei mutter loimer af lechatchilo. Kid lekabam simishin chavches if you're zayin. Ois katan ches. In this case, it's mutter for everybody lehishtamish la'oiroi. Says the Mishnah Berurah, this is true afilu hu makiroi. This is true even if the person who wants to be nene from the ner, let's say, is a good friend of the Ein Yehudi. So the Ein Yehudi came in to light the ner for a chayla she'ein bai sakana. Now it happens to be it's in his good friend, his Jewish good friend's house that he's doing this. So says the Mishnah Berurah, even that good friend of the Ein Yehudi is allowed to be nene from the ner that the Ein Yehudi lit for the chayla she'ein bai sakana. What's the chiddush over here? Explains the Mishnah Berurah. V'loy chayshinon shemeyarbe b'shviloi. We don't have to be chayshish that the Ein Yehudi somehow lit a bigger ner. He added more fuel to the ner to make it brighter on behalf of his good friend. In other words, the scenario over here is you called in an Ein Yehudi to light a ner for a chayla she'ein bai sakana. Right? So, okay, the Ein Yehudi is allowed to light the ner for the chayla she'ein bai sakana. Once he lights it for a chayla she'ein bai sakana, the halacha is that anybody is allowed to have hana from that ner. Now, you might worry, how about this scenario? You have two neighbors. You have a Yid and you have an Ein Yehudi. They're neighbors and they know each other for years and they're on very, very good terms. And now the Yisrael goes to the Ein Yehudi, his good friend, and he says, do me a favor, I have an ill person in my house. I need you to come light a ner for my ill relative that's sleeping in my house. Maybe now the Ein Yehudi is going to come in. He's going to light the ner on behalf of the ill individual, but he's going to wink, and he's going to say, you probably need the ner too, so I'll make the ner bigger. And maybe he's being moisif, he's adding on to the ner, and he's adding on to the malacha of havara. He's doing it not just on behalf of the ill individual, he's doing it for his good friend, the Yid, who's not ill. He's doing it for him also, in which case it would be usher. Says the Mishnah Berurah, we don't have to be chayshish for that by a ner. You know why? Explains the Mishnah Berurah, because we have a rule. The ner le'echad, ner le'meya. There's no such thing as a bigger lamp and a smaller lamp. When you light a lamp, one person could come and read by the light of that lamp. 2 people can, 3 people can, 4 people can. A ner is a ner is a ner. The Ein Yehudi is not going to come in and somehow make the ner bigger. He's lighting a lamp. The lamp is the lamp. Whatever the lamp is, that's what the lamp is. So we don't have to be chayshish that he's being moisif. Okay. Ice cut and test we didn't do yet. Let's go to the second to last line in the Shulchan Aruch near the end of the line. V'hu hadin, says the Mechaber. V'hu hadin la'isa medura litzarchai or litzarchayla. Until now, we were talking about a ner. A ner is a lamp. Remember, I once brought one here to the shir, a little oil lamp. So a ner is a lamp. But how about a madura? A madura is a bonfire. A madura is a substantial fire. The purpose of a madura was usually to warm up. That's a warming fire, not a light fire. Says the Mechaber, the same halacha applies to a madura. If an Ein Yehudi lit a madura for himself, then Yidden are allowed to get hana from it. Or if an Ein Yehudi lit a madura on behalf of a chayla. So there was a Yid who's a chayla, and he needs a madura. So the Ein Yehudi lit a madura on behalf of a Yid that's a chayla. Everybody is allowed to get hana from it. V'hu adin loisa madura litzarchai ulitzarch chayla. Says the Mishnah Berurah cut and test, litzarchai. If an Ein Yehudi lights a madura for himself, Yidden are allowed to get hana from it. The mutter l'chol Yisrael l'hischamim. All Yidden could come and warm up by this madura. Va'afilu hu makiroi. Again, even good friends of the Ein Yehudi are allowed to sit down by the madura and enjoy the warmth of the madura. And we don't worry that maybe the Ein Yehudi actually made a big madura for all of his Yiddish friends. Maybe he was moisif to the madura on behalf of his Yiddish friends, and now it should be aser. We don't worry about that, because says the Mishnah Berurah, why? The same svara of ner le'echad, ner le'meya, mishum de medurik tana, because the truth is that a small bonfire, nami mechamem es harbe anoshim, is also capable of warming up a bunch of people. The heavy kamoiner de ner le'echad, ner le'meya. We're not talking about a bonfire like when the kids go to camp and they make that huge teepee and they make a huge campfire. We're talking about a small warming fire. Again, the nature of a small warming fires don't come in sizes 1-person fire, 2-person fire, 3-person fire. A normal fire warms up a bunch of people. So once the Ein Yehudi lit a warming fire for himself, that's already capable of warming up a bunch of people. So we're not going to be choishish that he did it in order to add on to the size and make it bigger for his friends. No, he made a warming fire for himself. Once he did it, other people could warm up by it also. Memela, he did it for himself. Memela, other people, Yidden, are allowed to get hana from it. Now, going back to the Mechaber on the bottom line, the Mechaber says, but v'yesh oisrim b'medura. When it comes to a warming fire, there are those that say that it's aser mishum de gazrinon shemer yarbe b'shviloi. There are those that say when it comes to a warming fire that Yidden are not allowed to have hana from it, even if the Nachri did it for himself, because you do have to be chayshish that maybe the Ein Yehudi made the fire more substantial on behalf of the Yisraelim, says the Mishnah Berurah, Katan Yud b'shviloi, but v'im yaduahu she'enoi makiroi. But if the Ein Yehudi who lit this fire, you have absolutely nothing to do with him, he doesn't know you, you don't know him, then there's no reason to be chayshish that he was moisef on the fire for you. Why would this Ein Yehudi be moisef on the fire for me? We have nothing to do with each other, and in that case, shari l'kulei alma, then there would be no machlokes here. Everybody would agree that Yisraelim are allowed to have hana from that fire. And we'll stop over here and continue next time with the words of the Ramah. Thank you so much for joining me for Limud HaTorah. This list of Limud HaTorah should be Megan on Gans Klai Yisrael. The Rosh should send Yeshua's for forest Parnaset Shaduchim to those in need. We should be zeicher to see the Bias God Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu Amen. Be well.